Hi guys, yeah, good evening everyone. So today we are going to discuss about firewall, right? What is firewall and why we require firewall? Okay. What is firewall exactly? What do you know about firewall? Okay.
It's a hardware device.
Okay, it is a hardware device. So before discussing about the firewall, okay. So what is router? We studied about CCNA, right? What is router?
Router is a device which enables the communication between two or more different networks.
Okay, very good. So routers are present in hardware as well as software, right? Hardware as well as software. So we can deploy the routers in a VM form as well, correct? Virtual router. So router is going to work on based on which parameter exactly. So if you consider this is your router, right? So I have one network here. Consider I have here 1.0/24 network, here 2.0/24 network. So if I need to, okay, if I need to move the packet from this network to that network, like vice versa, 1.0 to 2.0. So on which basis, a router is going to take the decision? Guys,
Routing tables.
exactly. So routing is going to take the decision based on the routing table, to forward the packet from one network to other network. So router is going to take the decision based on the routing table. So consider now we have the switch, right? Let me draw the switch. And we have few PCs are connected with this same switch. Clear? So this is my PC1 and PC2. If I want to send the data from PC1 to PC2 or PC2 to PC1, so on which basis switch is going to take the decision?
MAC address table.
Exactly. So
Of MAC addresses.
MAC table, right? So switch is going to take the decision based on the MAC address table if it is a layer 2 switch. Okay. The router is going to take the decision based on the routing table. So that's how firewall used to be take the decision. So when it forward the packet from ingress interface to egress interface, firewall is going to take the decision in the a different mechanism. We'll discuss about that. Okay. So I just want to understand exactly whether you are like remember the points or not. So how the router is going to take the decision and the firewall is going to take the decision. And one more thing I just want to know from you guys. Okay. So as you all are like completed your CCNA, right? CCNA is completed. So router is going to take the decision based on the this one, right? The routing table. So on which layer? Okay. So is there any security that we can provide on the router, like the security kind of thing?
ACL.
Okay. The security kind of thing, which is nothing but ACL. We can configure the ACL on the router, right? Access control list. So if you configure the ACL, what is exactly ACL? So how many types of ACL do you have?
Two types of ACLs.
Two
One
types.
is standard ACL, another one is extended ACL.
Okay. So we have standard ACL and extended ACL. Clear. So standard ACL, extended ACL. So if the router is going to take the decision based on the routing table, which is nothing but, so we know that OSI model, right? Open System Interconnection, right? So, so if you configure the ACL, on which are the layers are going to consider this particular router?
Network layer, transport layer.
Exactly, which is nothing but layer 3 and layer 4. So if you want to provide the security, with the help of router, with the help of ACL, access control list, that is going to provide the security, that is going to filter the traffic based on the layer 3 and layer 4, which is nothing but your network layer and the transport layer. So network layer means which is nothing but IP address again, right? And transport layer means what? So what exactly is going to happen in the transport layer?
Ports based on the
Port
ports. it is going
based on port numbers.
So it is going to decide on which protocol, right? Protocols or services, ports, whether it is a TCP or UDP based service, right? TCP based service or UDP based service. So we all are intact with our previous classes CCNA. So very good. So now I need
हाँ
to
पोर्ट नंबर आगे पर भी अवेलेबल है कैसा प्रोटोकॉल्स को नहीं पोर्ट
protocols is normal. Like, protocol is what? Like TCP or UDP. So
नहीं
based on that,
ट्रांसपोर्ट लेयर में वो हमें पोर्ट नंबर हम लगाते हैं जब वो जहाँ पोर्ट को कॉन्फ़िगर करते हैं वो पोर्ट को सिक्योर करता है नहीं तो मैं टीसीपी यूडीपी करता है ऐसा
okay, clear. 443 इसे क्या बोलता तू?
ये एचटीटीपीएस
इसे क्या बोलता है? HTTP? यस. तो ऐसा लिखा तो इसे क्या बोलता है? पोर्ट नंबर बोलता है. इसे क्या बोलता तू? सर्विस बोलता होता है. डिफरेंस नथिंग बट. So a port number either you can configure on the TCP base or UDP base. समझता है?
ओके
So total ports we have 0 to 65,535, right? So these ports are like whether it is a TCP or UDP, correct?
यस
Okay, chalo, next. Now, I just want to understand one more thing from you guys, okay? Because I just want to check your CCNA knowledge as well. Consider if I have a router here and the switch. We have few users in our LAN network. So we used to take the internet connectivity from the any of the provider, right? Any of the provider. And this network is belongs to 1.0/24 PC1, this PC, and this PC is belongs to 2.0/24. So what you are going to configure in this particular router? So only 1.0/24 network. So here we have few servers like over the internet. You have consider you have a YouTube or you have a Facebook or Gmail, any websites, web servers that your user wants to try to access. So if this user only in my scenario only 1.0/24 users should communicate or should access this particular websites or web servers, but in the second scenario 2.0 users should not communicate with this one. So what you guys are going to do?
Okay.
We
In
create
1.0, in
ACL.
One by Yes, anyone?
We create a ACL in the router.
Okay, you are going
We
to
will
create
allow the
the
traffic for 1.0/24 network and we will deny the traffic for 2.0/24.
okay. So this is a scenario. So here you are going to configure the ACL, right? So as you said, here in the router you are going to configure the ACL. If you configure the ACL is going to provide the security based on the so it is going to inspect the packet based on the layer 3 and layer 4 only. Right? That's what happened generally. When you are going to configure the ACL on the router, so router either it will take the source IP address and the destination IP address, right? Source IP address, it will check the source IP, destination IP, and the source port, destination port. What is the condition you configure? So whether the condition is allow or deny, correct? So the router is not going to do the deep inspection. Router is not going to do the deep inspection. So router is not going to perform the deep inspection. So at that scenario, so these are all the routing devices, right? Router, firewalls, like networking devices. So we have one more device which is nothing but firewall. So if I'm going to place a firewall here, consider I'm placing the firewall here, right? Now what I can do with the help of firewall? So on which layers firewalls are going to be inspect your traffic? It is going to inspect your traffic from layer 2 till layer 7. So the application based, application aware. So what kind of content it is going, what kind of application the users are trying to access, that features we have in the firewalls. Understood?
हाँ
हम्म,
अब हमें फायरवॉल लगाने तो इधर ब्लॉक कर सकते नहीं है यूट्यूब फेसबुक के सर्वर तक जाने
ओके
खाली एसीएल से कर सकते नहीं
एसीएल से कर सकता, कैसे कर सकता? तो लेयर 3 के ऊपर, ओके, लेयर 4 के ऊपर डिपेंड कर सकता, मतलब आईपी एड्रेस, सोर्स आईपी अगर 1.0/24 नेटवर्क से कुछ भी इस पर्टिकुलर विल कंसीडर डेस्टिनेशन आईपी 1.1.1.1, ओके, तो ये डेस्टिनेशन आईपी को अगर रिक्वेस्ट आता है तो राउटर में तो क्या कॉन्फ़िगर करता है, एसीएल आपको डिनाई कर क्या कॉन्फ़िगर करता है, क्लियर? So what if this one, like if this particular websites which are hosted over the internet, so tomorrow they are going to change the IP address 2.2.2. Will your ACL work? No, right? So because the ACL is going to be inspect the traffic based on the source IP address, source IP, destination IP, and the source port, destination port. These parameters are going to consider by your ACL. But what firewall used to do, so if you do the URL filtering, okay, we have the options, multiple options in the firewalls, okay? We have the multiple option in the firewalls. If you do the URL filtering, right, so irrespective of what kind of traffic it's going, if you configure, like YouTube has to be blocked in the URL filtering, right? YouTube has to block. Irrespective of changing any IP address, it is going to be blocked. Okay?
नॉर्मल से अब यूट्यूब में उसमें आईपी एड्रेस चेंज करते रहेंगे
See, dynamically, we don't know what is the destination IP address, right? So, for example, if you are in India, do the NS lookup for youtube.com. Okay, it is going to show you the nearest youtube.com or like YouTube server IP address. If you are moving some other country, if you do the NS lookup, same NS lookup from there, it is showing nearest YouTube server IP address. So this IP address is not constant, right? It is going to change. The first thing.
Okay.
So firewall not only for the URL filtering, okay, so firewall actually it used to be sense your application, what application you are using, what content you are going to be used, okay. Even we can filter the traffic based on the user ID as well. So we have a lot of features that we are going to discuss in a moment, but I'm just giving the glimpse what is exactly the firewall is going to be do. So if you place exactly, if you see here in my slide, okay, what is firewall? Firewall is a network security device, right? Firewall can be a hardware based or the software based. We just now we discussed, right? Routers either could be a hardware or even in the virtual routers also we can deploy. For example, you can see the AWS. What is AWS? In AWS also we have a router, which is nothing but IGW, Internet Gateway. Okay, here in the on-prem we are going to discuss this is our router, right? The name is router, but in AWS concepts, the same router is nothing but IGW, Internet Gateway, right? That's why the firewall also we have, a firewall is a network security device, okay? Firewall can be a hardware device or the software device or both. Can be a cloud-based or the virtual. Even the virtual firewall is also there, which means the VM series, we can deploy the firewall in the VM series as well. Clear? Yeah. Muzammil, you will get the answer. Okay, so once we complete this, what is exactly firewall, then you will get the answer for your question. Okay. And firewall is placed between the trusted and untrusted zones. Firewall is going to be placed between the trusted and untrusted. What is trusted now again? So as we know that, okay, what is trusted and untrusted? We are already familiar with those kind of like terminologies, right? Those kind of terminologies. We are familiar with that. So here you can see. So what is trusted? So this, if you place the firewall here, in line, so this whole network is your trusted network. Trusted network.
Yes.
This is your untrusted network. Untrusted network. Trusted network and untrusted network. So behind the firewall is your inside network. Even in some firewalls terminology, we used to call it as a inside. We used to call it as a inside network. And after the firewall, we used to call it as an outside network. So in between, there is another zone, which is nothing but DMZ, demilitarized zone. If you consider Cisco, right? In Cisco, we have inside zone and outside zone and DMZ, demilitarized zone. Cisco used to be work on this one, like inside zone, based on the security level, levels or security values. You can say the security values. But firewall, Palo Alto firewall is going to be work on it based on the zone basis. Okay, so we are going to create in future in the upcoming classes. We are going to create, so whichever the traffic you are saying, like, so generally we used to say LAN, right? LAN, WAN, local area network and wide area network. So whichever the, wherever you are using the private IP addresses, right here, so the private IP addresses are going to use in our LAN, and the public IP address you are going here in the WAN side, right? That's what we did in our CCNA, correct? Now if you place the firewall, so what is firewall? Firewall is a network security device, right? Firewall is a network security device. Either it could be a hardware device or the software device or the cloud-based device. So which we are going to place between a trusted and untrusted network, which means this is your trusted network and the WAN side is your untrusted network. Clear this point? Are any doubts here?
Clear, sir.
Okay. So trusted and untrusted network. Firewall monitors and filter all incoming and outgoing network traffic. So what firewall used to do? Firewall used to filter your traffic, whichever the traffic, like if consider here one user is sitting, right? He is also having the internet. If the connection used to go from here to there, like from source, like this is the connection. The first connection is going like this. Okay, the SYN packet, for example, you can consider SYN packet is going. Then if the return reply packet is coming, if it is a SYN ACK only, SYN plus acknowledgement packet, then only your firewall is going to be allow that packet. Or else if the packet is coming from outside, if the packet is coming from outside to inside, your firewall is going to be drop that packet, because firewall is going to maintain a special item which is nothing but, okay, session table, which is nothing but session table. Firewall is going to set up a session table. Firewall is going to set up a session table. Based on the session table, firewall is going to decide whether the packet has to be in or drop. Okay, so firewall will act as a gatekeeper for your network. And it enforces set of predefined security rules, whether it has to be allow, block or drop. Okay, specific traffic action based on the predefined, like trusted and untrusted network. Whatever the configuration you do, like the security policies, based on the security policies, in the security policy, if you allow the traffic, it is going to be allowed. If you deny the traffic, it is going to be deny the traffic based on the security policies. So it is not going to take any action, even though if you have a firewall in your organization, that is going to work based on you configured, based on your predefined policies. What is that? Predefined policies, which means you need to be configured whether this packet has to be in or out. Clear? So what is firewall means? Firewall is a network security device. Okay, firewall can be hardware or the software based devices, and firewall is going to place between a trusted and untrusted network, and it monitors and filter the incoming and outgoing network traffic. Which is nothing but it is going to act as your security gatekeeper. So whom are coming inside, whether it is my legitimate user or the illegitimate user. If it is a legitimate connection, if it is a valid connection, then only it is going to allow that connection, or else it is going to be drop the connection. So if we discuss on the firewall generation, right, there are three generations. The firewall generations are three generations. The first generation firewall, okay, the first generation of firewall technology considered as a packet filtering firewall, packet filtering technique. So we had a packet filtering firewall, which is nothing but, okay, in router itself, we are going to implement the firewall kind of things. In router itself, earlier we don't have a firewall. If you see, right, the history of the firewalls. So Cisco has come up with the first firewall, which is nothing but PIX. Then they invented Cisco ASA, Adaptive Security Appliance. Then they implemented Firepower. But firepower. Firepower is going to act as like it is nothing but next generation firewall. So the first we'll discuss about the what is first generation firewall. First generation firewall is your packet filtering technique based firewall. Packet filtering based firewall. And the second generation firewall is your application layer techniques, which means your application layer. So the second generation firewall will have a capability to filter the traffic based on the applications. What is applications? YouTube is your application, Facebook is our application, right? Gmail is your application. So this kind of applications, the second generation firewall, since from the second generation firewall, we have the feature, we have the capability to filter the traffic based on the application layers. So now the third generation firewall is your stateful firewall, stateful filter inspection, also called as a next generation firewall. So you can see in the industries, all the firewalls nowadays, those are NGFW. What is stands for NGFW? NGFW stands for next generation firewalls. These firewalls are a stateful firewall. These firewalls are a stateful firewall. And even though firewall perform some other like functionalities like preventing the unauthorized access and blocking the malicious traffic, controlling the network, like network usage control, and the network segmentation. Even in the switches also we learn, right? So what is a switch? What we learn in the switch? The switch is a single broadcast domain, right? So with the help of VLAN, we are going to divide a single broadcast domain into a multiple broadcast domains, right? The same thing we can implement in the switches also. So the firewalls are going to deploy in a multiple mechanism. The firewalls are going to deploy in the multiple modes. Like if you take the Palo Alto firewall, that PA boxes, right? The PA boxes are going to deploy in the layer 3 mode and the layer 2 mode, even in the tap mode, right? And V-wide mode. So there are 4 modes. We can deploy the Palo Alto firewall in these 4 modes: layer 3 mode, layer 4 mode, tap mode, and V-wide mode. Generally in industry, you will see like this one layer 3 mode is 99.9%. You can see the layer 3 mode, because we can do the routing as well as the security. Everything we can achieve with the help of layer 3 mode. So this is what about the firewall. So generally, even in interview also, if you ask what is firewall, so firewall is a network security device. Firewall can be a hardware based or the software based firewall, and it is going to place between the trusted and untrusted network. It is going to place between the trusted and untrusted network, and it is going to act. It is going to filter or monitor the traffic. It is going to filter or monitoring the traffic based on what? Based on predefined, preconfigured policies. So you need to be configure the policies on the firewall. So simply placing the firewall between trusted and untrusted network, it is not going to act based on you. So how you are going to configure? So that's how it is going to be work. Clear? And in the generation of the firewall, there are 3 generations. Okay, the first generation is even in router. Actually, we use router. Guys, 1 minute. So in the first generation of firewalls, right? 1 minute, guys. Well, yeah, sorry guys, I just got a call. Okay. So where we are? So there are 3 different generations of the firewalls, right? The first generation of the firewall is your packet filtering firewall, and the second generation firewall is your application aware, like application layer firewall. So the second generation firewall is having the capability to sync your application. So what kind of traffic is going inside the application? And the last generation, the third generation firewall is nothing but your next generation firewall, which is going to work based on the stateful inspection. Okay. Any doubts still here?
पालो आल्टो L3 तक का तो बोले तो फर्स्ट जनरेशन का था
नहीं अभी हम पालो आल्टो डिस्कस नहीं कर रहे हैं. वी आर डिस्कसिंग अबाउट द ओवरव्यू ऑफ द फायरवॉल्स. What exactly firewall? Okay, how many modes, like what kind of technologies are there in the firewall, वो डिस्कस कर रहे हैं हम. पालो आल्टो का है. ठीक है. फर्स्ट हमको समझ में आना चाहिए कि कौन सी टेक्नोलॉजी कहाँ पे क्या कैसा काम करता है, कौन सा फायरवॉल कैसे काम करता है, उसके बाद हम फिर पालो अल्टो पाएंगे व्हाट इज एडवांटेज इंस्टेड ऑफ हैविंग द लेगेसी फायरवॉल। लेगेसी फायरवॉल में से ओके, लेगेसी फायरवॉल में से पालो अल्टो फायरवॉल में क्या क्या यूजफुल है, क्या एडवांटेजेस है, वो डिस्कस करेंगे। पहले व्हाट इज फायरवॉल सीखेंगे, समझेंगे, उसके बाद हम आएंगे लेगेसी फायरवॉल क्या है, नेक्स्ट जनरेशन फायरवॉल क्या है। पालो अल्टो इज अवर नेक्स्ट जनरेशन फायरवॉल एक्चुअली, ठीक है। चलो, now types of firewalls. So in firewalls we have a packet filtering firewall, stateless firewall, stateful inspection firewall, next generation firewall, proxy based firewall, WAF firewall. You might see in the even in the job JDs, like job description as well. So the guy should have a knowledge on Palo Alto firewall along with the WAF. What is WAF? See, this is what the WAF, web application firewall. So the guy should have a knowledge on the Palo Alto as well as WAF. So this many types of firewalls we have. So we'll understand what exactly one by one. So let me jump into the packet filtering firewall. What is exactly the packet filtering firewall? So packet filtering firewall is we generally discuss now, right? Sometime before we discuss, right? If we have a router, so consider this is my LAN and this is my WAN. This is my LAN and WAN. So if the packet is moving from here, from LAN to WAN, okay. So you are saying that like we are going to configure the ACL here, right? So yes, we can configure the ACL. Whatever the router, like this router is going to provide the securities, that is nothing but your packet filtering firewall. So router is going to be act as a packet filtering firewall. It is going to be filter the data. It is going to be filtered based on layer 3 and layer 4 only. Which is nothing but layer 3 IP address, layer 4 and your port numbers and the protocols. So first we'll understand what is packet filtering firewall, then I'll draw the topology to make you a bit clear. Okay, so the packet filtering firewall monitor data packets at the network layer based on the layer 3 and the transport layer 4 of the OSI model. So in OSI model, open system interconnection, we have 7 layers, right? We have 7 layers. On that 7 layers, this packet filtering firewall is going to be work from layer 3 to layer 4, network layer and transport layer. It checks the header of the packet. So it checks the header of the packet against a set of rules, are the functionals or filterings. Okay, decide whether to allow or deny. See, in firewall, in Palo Alto firewall, we used to say that it is a allow, right? In ACL, if you are going to configure the ACL in the router, there we are going to mention as a permit, right? In Palo Alto firewall, we are going to say that a deny, okay? Deny. So in so this is the terminology in the router, and in Palo Alto firewall, we are going to say like block. There is nothing rocket science, both are correlation only, the terminologies are different. So packet filterings are going to monitor the packet based on the layer 3 and the layer 4 of the OSI model. It checks the header of the packet. That packet filtering firewall is going to check the header of the packet and decide whether it is what condition has configured, whether it is allowed or denied. Cisco IOS. So now tell me, what is IOS? IOS stands for
Operating system.
interoperating system. Where we are going to use the IOS? Where we are going to use the IOS? In the Cisco's routers, right? You can see the routers. In the Cisco's router, we are going to use the IOS. So generally, I used to talk, right? Today I have the activity to IOS upgrade activity. So interoperating system, this is your firmware. Like in the firewalls, you used to say the firmware, right? So the IOS means router. In the router, okay? The IOS, Cisco IOS uses the standard and extended ACL, and the name is name-based ACL. So sometimes before we just consider, right, ACLs we have standard ACL and extended ACL, right? Even in standard and extended, we have a numbered ACL and name ACL. So with the help of this ACLs, we are going to configure the ACL in the Cisco's router. That router is going to act as a packet filtering firewall. Clear? if you are going to configure a router as a packet filtering firewall, what is going to be advantage and what is going to be a disadvantage? The disadvantage is packet filtering firewalls is vulnerable to IP snooping attack. IP snooping attack means if you have a router, there you are going to configure a WAN IP address. So someone from the internet continuously keep on, you are trying to what we can say, trying to ping your public IP address, continuously trying to ping your public IP address. So your router will be busy to respond to that. So that attack is going to called as a IP snooping attack. IP spoofing attack. So packet filter firewalls are going to filter the packet based on the source IP address, destination IP address, what is the source port and the destination port and the protocols. Based on this parameter, it is going to decide whether it has to be allow or deny the packet. It has to be allow or deny the packet. Now, let me jump to the other slide so that I can. Okay. Consider this is my router. I have the internet connectivity, ISP. So to this router, I have a switch as well. Few of the users are connected over the LAN. Now, we have any web server over the internet, so that your users are trying to be access to this particular web server. So generally what we used to do, right, in this router, Cisco, this is my Cisco's router. So we are going to configure iOS, right? Okay. So here we have iOS, right, inter-operating system. So when consider this is my, what we will say, here I am going to use 192.168.1.0/24 subnet, LAN subnet. Yeah. So I have configured already ACLs here. So that ACL, okay, what this packet filtering. Now, as of now, this router is also working as a packet filtering, right? Packet filtering firewall. Let me write down here. This router is also acting as a packet filtering firewall. Okay, so we have the option, right? If you configure the ACL, so that router is going to act as a packet filtering firewall. How the packet look like exactly, right? So this guy is going to be inspect. So what he is going to be inspect? So once the packet received from, okay, once it reaches to the ingress interface, this is your ingress interface. So before it's sent to the egress interface, right? Before it's sent to the outside interface, this router or the packet filtering firewalls are going to be inspect the packet. The inspection looks like this. Like, so this is very important, guys. If you understand, right, how the data is flowing, right? So for any firewall, to learn any firewall, understand the flow of the data. That would be easy to correlate easily with the router and other devices as well. So let me write down here. So SRC. Okay, SRC and DST, IP and protocol, and then your action. This is your table, guys. This is your table. Once the packet received to the ingress interface on this particular interface, okay, this firewall is going to be perform the inspection. This firewall is going to be packet filter firewall is going to perform the inspection, and this firewall, as it is a packet filtering firewall, right? So this is going to be perform the inspection based on the what is the source IP address and what destination IP address it is going to be, and from which protocol, and what is the action configured on this particular ACL. Clear? So now I'll consider here the IP of this particular the IP of this like this user is 1.10 and this user is 1.20. So the source and this IP address is 100.100.100.10. This is my public IP address which is hosted over the internet. See here, the source IP will become the 1.10, this machine, and the destination IP will be this 100.100.100.10. And the protocol, what is a protocol? Whether it is a TCP base or UDP base. Clear? And the action would be allow or deny. This is what you are going to mention in the ACL, right? So you all guys have practiced ACL.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. So when you are going to configure the ACL, so there you are going to be decide what is the source IP and what is the destination IP address and the protocol and the action, right? So once this packet from this user and this user is trying to access this particular server, the packet will go to the firewall, which is nothing but packet filtering firewall, and this firewall is going to be inspect this. So the inspection table look like this. So what source IP address and where that particular user wants to go, and what is the protocol, whether it is a TCP or UDP, and the action is configured as allow or deny. If the action is configured allow, then it is going to be allow that packet. Clear? And it is not going to do the one more thing, like see the stateful inspection. It is not going to do the stateful inspection. Only the third generation firewalls are going to do the stateful inspection. Instead of like the first generation and the second generation firewalls are not going to do the stateful inspection. Only the third generation firewalls are going to do the stateful inspection. So this packet will come here. So and this guy is going to be inspect this packet. Okay. If the action is allowed, then it is going to be allowed, and the return packet will come like this. Understood? This is what the packet filtering firewall. That's what we just now we covered that.